Hello and welcome. I'm Raghav. I hope all of you are doing awesome and welcome to this complete course masterclass on Cypress. This is the next part of our Cypress masterclass. And in this part, we will learn more on Cypress. And as always, I will go very basic step by step, and there will be some quizzes for you as well. So in the earlier parts, we have started with Cypress. We looked at what is Cypress, how do we use Cypress, why do we use Cypress. We looked at the prerequisites. We installed and set up Cypress. We looked at the features, the GUI, and then we started with the Cypress project. We created our first test, and then we also looked at the different commands we use in Cypress. And we looked at the object locators. How do we find objects on the browsers using Cypress, and then how do we add these object locators in our test scripts. We looked at Cypress with JavaScript and TypeScript, and in the last part, in the last masterclass, I gave you some pointers from where you can learn JavaScript, TypeScript, and Cypress with TypeScript. In these sessions, I'm continuing with JavaScript, but just in case you like to learn Cypress with TypeScript, in the last masterclass, I have given the pointers for that. We also looked at assertions. What are assertions? How do we use different types of implicit and explicit assertions in Cypress? Then we looked at page object model. We created a page object model design in our Cypress project, and we also discussed about app actions. And then we learned how do we group tests, how do we run tests in group, how can we add before each block, and we can add all these hooks. And these all topics we have covered. So today we'll start with command line interface or command line runs. How can we run our Cypress tests from the command line? Then we will look at package.json file. So this is a very important file in a Node project. So we will see what are the different contents of this file, what are their use, what is the significance of all these different sections that we have in package.json file. We will learn file handling with Cypress. How can we read and write files in Cypress? How can we upload and download files with Cypress? We will look at reports. How can we create HTML reports in Cypress? We will also look at API testing, and then custom commands. What are custom commands? How do we create custom commands? Cypress Studio and Cypress Dashboard. And we will do a Cucumber BDD framework with Cypress and database integration. And then finally, we will see how can we put our project on a repository using Git, how can we collaborate and do source code management, and then how can we do a CI/CD using Jenkins. So let us see what all we can cover in this part, and whatever will be left, we will take up in the next part. So with this, we will start. And as always, I will go very basic step by step. You can follow along with me with hands-on. If you face any issues, any doubts, you can always let me know. You can ask your queries. I read all my questions, all the messages, and I will answer you as soon as I can. But still, I will suggest you that whenever you are stuck and whenever you face some challenges, please try to find out on Google, or just go online, type your question, type your error message, and you will get lots of resources, and try to troubleshoot and solve it. This is how you will learn, and this is how I learn. So this will be very good for you if you try to troubleshoot the issues, but I'm always here for you. Whenever you have any questions, you can let me know in the comment section or the Q&A section. With that, let's get started. And the first topic we are going to see is how to run Cypress tests from CLI or command line interface. Now, these sessions, in case you find the pace of these videos a little slower, you can always increase the speed from the video player, or you can increase or decrease, whatever you feel like. So let us see, why do we need command line interface? So command line interface is very, very important, and you will find in all the automation tools, in all the projects and frameworks, you will see there is always this option of running your tests, running your projects, running your programs from command line. So command line is important because it makes the executions very easy, faster, because there is no GUI involved. There is no very huge memory consumptions. So command line uses very, very less memory because there is no GUI. So it makes the executions faster. It is easier it is more efficient. And whenever you have to integrate your project, your test executions with any third party or external processes, command line will always be used. For example, when you want to integrate your testing in a CI/CD process, in a CI/CD pipeline. So a CI/CD process can be, there is a complete project pipeline which starts from the development process, and the dev team releases the build on, let's say, a dev environment. Then after verifying the build is stable, it gets deployed to a QA environment. After getting deployed to a QA environment, our QA test will run, our automation test will run. If it certifies that the build is stable, the application is all working fine, it will then go to the next environment. There can be some more tests, and then finally it will get deployed to production. So these are different stages. And if we have to chain all these stages with each other, and it has to be an automatic trigger, we need to have a CI/CD process, and we have to chain all these processes. And when you have to do that, you will have to use your commands that will run your test that can very easily do the integration. So command line is very important in a CI/CD process. And let us now see how can we run our Cypress tests from command line. So I will go to my VS Code where we had created our project. So this is our project we created, and I will open this. And you can see this is our project, the Cypress project. And we created some test files here, some spec files here. So the first thing is I will go to terminal. So I will go to here and open the terminal on VS Code. If you like, you can also open the terminal or command line separately and go to your project folder and can run the commands from there. So here I'm on the terminal, and here I can click on this button to expand or maximize the terminal. So I'm already on my project folder here. We have done step number 1. Now to run the Cypress tests, we use the command Cypress run, and because we are running this npm command from a local folder, we will use npx. So we will say npx Cypress run. So if I say this npx Cypress run, and if I hit enter, it will run all the tests that you have in your project. That is all the tests that we have under our E2E package or E2E folder. All those will get executed. If you are using a version of Cypress earlier to 10, all the tests which are in your integration folder will get executed. So this will start the run. Okay, so this has started, and you can see this shows us the Cypress version, and the default browser which is used for execution from command line is Electron, which is a headless browser. That means there will be no GUI. You will not see any browser coming up, no physical browser. It runs at the backend, and you can see all the other details. So it is running all our tests. So there are 4 specs found. It will run all the specs. I will also show you in a moment how can you specify the browser, or how can you specify a particular spec file to run. But otherwise, when you say npx Cypress run, it will run all the tests, all the spec files in your project. So you can see whenever there will be a failure, it will also take a screenshot, and it will create a screenshot folder, and all the screenshots will go here. It will also create a video folder, and you will see the video recording of your tests here. So you can see it is as of now running 2 of 4. So it will run all the tests. Now, with this version that I am using, this is the latest version of Cypress, that is version 10. And I'm finding that the command line runs are little slower than I expected. And if I compare to the earlier versions, it is little slower. I'm not sure if it is because of the version of Cypress or maybe some other system issues. In case you also feel that the command line runs are very slower, you can always try to change the version of Cypress. You can get a different version, and then you can try this again. So if I see my execution as of now, so it is still running. And you can also see the results here. It is running the last spec, which is test1.cy.js. So let it complete. And I will also show you all the other commands, all the other options that you can use with the Cypress command. And let me just wait for this to get completed. Okay, looks like this is now done. So let me show you here. Everything is done, and at the end it also shows you a complete table with all the details. So it ran all these specs. So you can see the specs here. In this column, you can see the time taken by each of the spec files. So one spec file can have multiple tests. Then it also shows how many tests were there in each of these spec files, how many passed, how many failed, how many pending, how many skipped. And this is the total result. 2 of 4 failed. And you can see 6 tests were there, 3 passed and 3 failed. And then you can see the video and screenshots. If you see here, this is the screenshots folder, and for all of your test cases, wherever there was a failure, you will see the screenshot added. So here you can see all these screenshots are here. And then here is the video folder. So if I open the videos folder, you can see all these videos. And if I go to this folder and go to any of these files, the video files, I will say right click and reveal in File Explorer. Here, you can see all these videos are saved. You can run in any of the video players that you have. So you can see you can see the executions here. So this one is for my pom-demo.cy.js test case. And here you can see it will capture all the execution. So you can also check the executions. And let me just close this. So here we get all these details, and on the terminal as well, we get all these details. Now, you can use a lot of options with the Cypress run command. If I want to see what all options I can use, I can say npx Cypress run, and I can say -h or --help to see all the options that we can use with the Cypress run command. So let me see the options. Here you can see all these options. So the very frequently used options will be browser. So you can set the browser by saying -b or --, browser. We can have the environment set. We can also set the configurations by saying -c or --, config to set the configuration values. You can make the browser headed or headless. And then other very important and frequently used option will be the spec. So I can say -s or --spec to run a specific spec file. So these are the different options, some very frequently used options. So let's just say I will clear the terminal, and let's just say I want to run a specific spec file. So I will say npx and Cypress run, and I can say --spec, or I can just say -s, and I will give the location of the spec file. So because I am already on this folder, that is my project folder, I can give a relative location. I will say dot and \. I will go to the Cypress folder, and here I typed cy and pressed tab, and it auto completed. And this is a good way to make sure that you don't make any mistakes, any typos here. After this, I will go to the E2E. So I just say E and say tab it is auto completing. And let's say here, I just want to run my assertions demo.cy.js. And then if I want to set the browser as well, I can say -b or my -- browser, and I will give the name of the browser, let's say Chrome, and I will start the execution. So here, looks like it says failed. Let me see if there was any issues. I think it's fine. It has executed, and yeah, it has executed, and it has there were some failures, therefore it has failed. And because there was no website we visited during this tests in the assertions demo, that is why I could not see the browser coming up. But otherwise, it has executed the test. It has executed only the assertions demo.cy spec file, and here is the result. So this is how you can use all these options, and this is an example. I will put all these notes in the description or the resources section of this video. So we have done step number 1. We have used the npx cypress run command with some of the options. Now I can also run the commands from this file package.json. So here, if you go to this file, you will find a scripts section. So let me open the package.json file. It is here. And you can see this is my package.json file. And if you remember, when we started the node project, when we went to this folder and then ran the command npm init-y, it started a node project and it created this package.json file with all the default values. Now here is the script section. And in this section, I can write the scripts and give it some name, and I can just run the script by using whatever name I have given. For example, you will see a test script is already added. And if I have to run this test script, I can say here, I will clear the terminal, and here I will say I have to use npm and say run and whatever name you have given to the script. So here I have test, I will say test and hit enter, and it should run whatever is mentioned as the value of this script. So it was mentioned echo error no test specified, and that is what it has printed. So for example, I can also say I will give a comma at the end here, and I will create a new script which I am giving the name hello. So you can give any name to your script, and here I will say colon, and then I will say the script is echo hello world. Okay, and make sure you save your file. And now I will go to the terminal, and here I'll clear the terminal. Yeah, and I will say npm run hello. So when I say npm run hello, it will run this particular script. It will run this and will run whatever is mentioned here. So I will say npm run hello, and it should run echo hello world, which is printing hello world on the screen. So I can make use of this script section. And if I have to run the Cypress test, I can say here, I'll give a comma here and go to the next line. And here I will say, I can give any name here. I will say cy-test. This is just for giving some meaningful name. So I will know that this will run my Cypress test. Otherwise, you can give any name here. And here, the command I'm giving is Cypress. And I will say run. And I will save. And if I now say on my terminal, if I now say npm run cy-test, it should run the command Cypress run, which will in turn run all the tests in our Cypress project. And you can see it has started running, and it will run all the tests. I don't want to wait for all the tests to be completed, so I will stop this. I will press Ctrl C on my keyboard, which will stop the process. And I will say terminate job, yes. And this is stopped. Now here, this is a very important and a very useful and a very interesting feature in a Node project. So in the script section of this Node project, I can also create some scripts for post-test, pre-test, and post-test. For example, if I create a script called post-test, and this is a inbuilt keyword, post-test, you will find it here as well as you are typing. So I create a script for post-test, and before this, I will also create a script for pre-test. So I will say here, this is pre-test. And in the pre-test script, I will say echo I am pre-test. And in the post-test script, I will say, so these are dummy statements I'm adding. In real world, you will have something to run that you want to run before a test and after a test. I will say I am post-test. And then in the test script, so test script is also an inbuilt keyword. I will say echo, and I will say I am the test. So I'll just say here, I am the test. Okay. Now, when I say npm run test, let us see what happens. I will say npm run test, and let us see what happens. So you can see it is first running the pre-test, then it is running the actual test or whatever we have in the test script, and then it is running the post-test. So whenever you have to run a pre-test or a post-test, you can put them in these scripts and it will get executed before and after the actual test script. So you can use the script section under the package.json file. So every line under this section can be run with the npm run command. So for example, this is what we have already seen. You can run this, any of these statements, any of these commands, you can run by saying npm run, and then whatever name you have given to the script. This will also be very useful when you also want to run multiple commands after your test. You may want to generate reports and all the other things that you want to do. You can always use this script section. Okay, we can also set configurations from command line. So you can use the option -c or --config, something like this. So you can say Cypress run, and then you can say --config and set the configurations here. So here, let us say I want to run, I'll just clear the terminal, and I will say npx Cypress run. And first I will set a specific spec file. So I will go to the Cypress folder, E2E folder, and here let us say I want to run the POM demo spec file, and then I will say -config, or I can just say -c, and then I will say I can give any of the configurations like pageLoadTimeout, watchForFileChanges. I can use comma between configurations. I can say pageLoadTimeout. I want to set it to, let us say, 10,000 milliseconds or maybe 100,000. Then I can say the other configuration, watch for file changes. Now all these configurations we have discussed in the earlier sessions. So the same configurations that we can give from the Cypress.json file or this Cypress.config.js file in version 10, that we can also give from this command line using the config option. So I will say this is equals to false or whatever value you want, and you can run with that configuration. So when I hit enter, it will run with all the configurations I set here. So it says page load timeout is invalid. Maybe it may be the spelling or some issue that you can check later on, but this is how you can set the configuration. For now, I will press Ctrl C and stop this run. And you can also use a stringified JSON value for this configuration. Sometimes you have a very complex configuration or multiple configurations, then you can always use a JSON format for this. So something like you can say here Cypress, and you can say Cypress run and --config. Let me increase the font so that you can see it clearly. And then within single quotes, you can give 2 curly brackets, and then you can add the configuration. Let us say watch for file changes, and then colon, and give the value. And then again, if there are more, you can give a comma, and again give the configuration and colon, after the quote colon, and whatever is the value. And this is how you can give the configuration in a JSON, stringified JSON format as well. Okay. So these are the different commands. So we can say Cypress run, and it runs the Cypress tests from the CLI. And before all these commands, if we are running from a local project folder, we will say npx. So it will be npx Cypress run if we are running from a local folder, and it will run our Cypress tests. And we can add all the different options, like if you want to run a specific browser, if you want to run on a specific browser, or if you want to run on, if you want to run a specific spec file, you can use the -s or -- spec and configurations, all that you can do. Then Cypress open, this we have already seen. When we have to open our Cypress app, we use this Cypress open, and this we have seen earlier as well. So if I say npx Cypress open, it will open our Cypress app. And we have been doing this earlier because we were not running our tests from command line. So we were running from the Cypress app. Then we have Cypress verify, and this command will check the Cypress is installed correctly and is executable. This also we have seen earlier. So see, you have this has started the Cypress app, and I can go to a new terminal. I can go from here, and I can say here npx Cypress verify. This will verify and check that our Cypress is installed properly and is executable. Then we have Cypress version. This also we have seen earlier. So I can say Cypress version. So I can say npx Cypress version. This will show us the version of Cypress and its binary and everything. So you can see Cypress package version, binary version, Electron version. Electron is a headless browser that comes along with Cypress. And whenever you run from command line, if you do not specify a browser, it will run on Electron. And the node version is also here. Then we have a command called Cypress info. This will print all the information about the Cypress and the current environment, like the browsers and the proxies and everything. So if I say, this is npx Cypress info. So if I say npx Cypress and I say info here and hit enter, you will see all the details, all the information about Cypress and the environment. So this is slow. Yeah, this has come. So you can see it. This is how it looks like. I will expand the terminal window. I will maximize it. So here you can see this is saying, it tells us the browsers. So it detected 2 browsers installed on the system, Chrome and Firefox. And then here you can see the proxy settings, none detected, environment variables, none detected, application data, browser profiles, binary cache, Cypress version, system, platform, memory information. All this we can get from here. Then you can also run the command Cypress cache. This will print information about global Cypress cache. So I can say, I'll clear the terminal and say npx Cypress cache, and this will give us information about the Cypress cache. And I have to actually use any of these options like list, path, clear, prune, etc. So I will say nps Cypress cache list, and it will show me all the Cypress versions that I have used on this system. So you can see all these versions I have used. We have 6.5.0 that I used a year ago, then 6.6.0. This is the latest one that we are using, 10.3.0. So all this is here. And if you want to see where is the path of this cache, I can say npx Cypress cache and path. I don't know if it is pronounced cache or cache. I have seen some people pronounce it like cache and some people as cache. So in the comments, let me know what is the correct pronunciation of this C-A-C-H-E. So you can see this gives us the path where it is stored. And if you want, you can delete it or remove it, clear it. And if you clear it, you will lose all the information about the earlier versions used and everything. So you can see we have all these options here to clear, to prune, cache binaries. And if you say prune, it will delete all cached binaries except for the last version or currently used version, and all these options are here. So these are the command line options. And as I said, command line is very important. Try out these commands, try out with different options. You can also find all the different options, all the commands on the Cypress documentation as well. So try this out. Let me know if you have any questions. And with that, we will move to the next topic, which is what is Package.json. Now, Package.json, as I said, is a very important file. And whenever you create any node project, you will find this file. So here is our package.json file. So let me show this. I will bring the terminal window down, and this is our package.json file. So every node project, every Node.js project has this package.json file, which is always located in the project folder, the root project folder, and it has information about our node project. So it can have information about like the name of the project, the version, the description, what is the main JS file, what is the main file that starts the project. We have script section that we have already seen. Then we can have keywords. This will help to find our node project online. Then we have the license information, all the dependencies. This is very important. All the dependencies that you add in your project will be listed out here under dependencies or dev dependencies. And this will also be very useful whenever you take your project outside your system, or whenever you try to set it up on a different machine. You just have to say npm install, and it will read all the information from your package.json file, and it will check all the dependencies. It will get all the dependencies added, and you will have your project ready to run on any system. So this is very important. And you can see the dependencies. So to create, we just run the command npm init or npm init -y, and you can go to any folder and run this command. It will start a node project on that folder and will create this package.json file. This we have already seen when we started our Cypress project. We opened the folder, we created a simple folder, we opened the folder in VS Code, and then we went to the terminal and ran the command npm init -y, and it created this package.json file. So it has information like the package name, version description, entry point, test command, keywords, and author information, license information. It can also have information about the repositories, dependencies, etc. So if I talk about the important and the separate sections, you can see the first thing is the name of the project. In this file, it should have a maximum of 214 characters, and it cannot start with a dot or an underscore. You can also try this out. If I try to put a dot here, you can see I'm getting an error. And if you hover over this error, it will tell you that this is not the pattern. String does not match the pattern what is required for the name in package.json file. Similarly, if I say underscore, still I will get this error. So it should not have uppercase letter. And if I try to add a uppercase letter, again, you can see I'm getting a error here. So, and whatever name you have here, with this name, your project gets registered in the NPM registry. If you put your project in an NPM registry, this is what will be the name of the project taken there. Then you can have version number. So version of your project, you can put the version number here, and the package name and the version number makes a unique combination for your project. Then the general description of your package or your project you can give here. And this is what you can find in the NPM search. So if you say, if I go to NPM registry, which is npmjs.com, you can see all the packages, node packages that people have uploaded comes here. Similarly, for example, if I search for Cypress, so you can see this is the Cypress folder or the Cypress project. Similarly, if you want to put your project, it will go with whatever name you have in your package.json file and whatever version number you have. So let's say if I click on Cypress, you can see here all the details about this package or this folder. And to get this folder, this project, we just have to say npm install Cypress or npm iCypress. So whenever you do this from anywhere, you should have node installed on your system, it will get this project. Similarly, you can do that for your project as well. Then this is the main entry point of the project. This file will run at the start. Then if you have any scripts, you can add the scripts. We have just learned about scripts, so you know what this section means about. Keywords, this can be an array of strings, and it will help to identify your package in npm search. It is like tags for your project. You can have the author information like this. You can give the name, email, URL, etc. Then there is a license information. Now here, this license name or information will tell people how they can use your project. Are they permitted or not? What are the limitations? So by default, it is ISC, which is Internet System Consortium, and which is a permissive free software license. But if your project is limited, private, you can always mention the license here. Now see, all this will be useful if you are putting your project online on NPM registry. If you are just using your project locally, then it will actually not be visible to others. So that will be fine, but you should know about these different sections. Dependencies, so you can see whatever dependencies you add in your project will come here. So I can see as of now, we just have the Cypress dependency in our Cypress project. Then we can have dev dependencies. This will be used during dev or build phase. So when you say npm install, if you use this command npm install on the project folder, it will install both dev and normal dependencies. And when you will say npm install -- dev, it will install only the dependencies which I mentioned under the dev dependencies section. If you say npm install -- prod, it will not include the dev dependencies and will only install the dependencies added under the dependencies section. And you will also see sometimes you will see these symbols, like here you can see there is a caret symbol before the actual version of the dependency, and sometimes you will see this twiddle symbol. So this means when you will say npm install, it will match all the versions 1.2.x, but will miss version 1.3.0. So for example, when you say npm install, and for that particular dependency, the latest version at that time is 1.2.7, it will install 1.2.7. But if it is 1.3.0, it will not go until there. But when you have this caret symbol, it will match any version, like in this case 1.x.x. So if there is a new version, let's say 1.3.0 available, it will install that, but it will hold off to the next major version, which is 2.0.0. Okay. So these are the details about package.json file. And here you can see it will package.json. We have the minimum version needed. It records the minimum version needed by these symbols, caret and twiddle, and we have already discussed about it. And you will also see a file called package-lock.json. So you can find a file like package-lock.json as well here. Okay. Now here, this file records the exact version of each installed package, which allows you to reinstall them. So here, if I go to package-lock.json file, you will see, in case, let me show you, this is my package.json, and this is, this is package-lock.json. So here you can see for Cypress, it shows me the exact version that I installed when I started this project, or when I installed or added this dependency initially. However, if I take this project somewhere else and I again say npm install on this project folder, in package.json file, it will get the latest version based on whatever symbol I have used here, caret or twiddle. But this package-lock.json will preserve the original version, whatever was used when we installed this library. So you can always check this. So it locks the dependencies with the installed version. When you run the command npm update package name, it will update in package-lock.json and not in package.json. So these are some extra information. Just in case you want to know more about package.json and package-lock.json files, it is for that. But it is fine if you do not get all these things deeply. So when you say npm install, it will install the dependencies as per package.json. But when you say npm ci, it will install dependencies as per package-lock.json. Okay. So this can be useful for people who want to go with the exact version that was installed initially. We can use npm ci. So a question, do you need both package-lock.json and package.json? The answer is no. Even if you have only package.json, you can still continue. And we always need package.json. And can you have a project with only package-lock.json? No. So we always need package.json, and we can have, along with that, we can have package-lock.json for some extra information and all that we have discussed. Okay, so this is about package.json and pageLock.json. Okay, now here, if you like, you can take a 1-minute break and you can take this quiz as well. So here you will see multiple choice questions and every question carry 1 mark, and you can also let me know your score in the comments section. So this will be the quiz. It will take you to this quiz and some very simple questions are here. And if you have followed the session, you can answer all these questions and then you can tell me your score. So after this, we will resume to the next session, which is how do we read and write files in Cypress. Now there are different ways we can read and write files in Cypress. So we can read files using the fixture method. I will show you how exactly we use it. We can read files using the ReadFile method, and then we can write files using the WriteFile method. So let us first learn how can we read a file in Cypress using fixtures. So here, step number 1 is we will create a new spec file and then we will add a file under the fixtures folder. Let us do that. I will go to my Cypress project. And here, I will go to the E2E folder. And here I'm going to create a new file. I will call it as read write files demo.cy.js. So this is the file I have created, read write files demo.cy.js. And then you will see there is a fixtures folder under your Cypress folder. It gets generated whenever you add and open Cypress. And there is already a JSON file added here where we have all these data. We have name, email, body. So let us continue with this file. If you want, you can add any new file under the fixtures folder. And when we are using fixture method, it will work on the files under the fixtures folder. If you want, you can give a file anywhere else, but then you will have to give the complete location or the relative location. But if your file is under the fixtures folder, you can directly access it using the fixture method. So we have done step number 1 and 2, and now we will create and test the command. So I will first create a test under our file, our read write demo.js file. I will create a it block which has our, I don't require this. Let me just remove this. I will say it. And here I will say, I'll again remove this. And I'll give the some name, read files using fixture. You can give any name here. And I will start a function. And here I can add my code. So I will say here cy dot, it should be cy dot, not Cypress. And I will say fixture, cy dot fixture, and here is the method. So I will say cy dot fixture, and if your file is within the fixture folder, you can directly give the name of the file. So in my case, you can see this is the file example.json, which is directly under the fixtures folder. So I can just say here example.json. Now, just in case if it is in a folder, in some subfolder under the fixtures folder, then you will have to give the folder name as well. But in this case, I can directly say the file name, which is example.json. And then I will say dot then. Now then is a function that can be used to chain, and it enables you to work with whatever is the output yielded from the previous command. So the output yielded from the previous command will be the content of this file, example.json, and this will get chained. And in the then function, I will use a variable. I can use any variable name. So whatever will be the output yielded will go in this variable called data. And then I will use this function declaration like this, and a curly bracket start and stop. So all the data or content of the example.json file will get stored in this variable called data. And using this, I can now access the values. So I am saying here cy.log. This is to log any data in the command log of Cypress. And here I can say data dot, and I can access the keys. I will say data dot, let us say name. So in your example.json file, we have name, we have email, so all that I can access. So I can say cy.log name, I can say cy.log, and I can say data.email, and I will run this. So I already have the Cypress app open. I'll just close this. In case the app is not open, you can always say npx Cypress open, and I will start the testing. And I will go to the specs, and this is my read write files demo. I will click on this, and let us see the output. So the tests are loading, and then it should run the test that we have here. Okay, this shows some error here. Not sure why it is thrown. Let me confirm very quickly. I will go back. Yeah, I think this, it actually added this automatically, which is not required. And I will save and run again. And yes, this is running fine. Now this before each is coming because we have added this in our e2e.js file. But if you see this here, it is printing the value of the name and the email. Okay, so it is printing it here. And if I go to my browser Chrome and I say inspect, I can go to the backend. If I go to the console, let me see if I see anything here. Yes, you can see this is the command and this is the message, which is the value of name. And if I go here, I can see the value of email. And this is working fine. If I want, I can go to my example.json file. And if I want to change this, I should get these values. I will save and I will run the test again. And yes, you can see now I'm getting name Raghav, and this is the email value. So we are able to run our test. Now we can also have a before function created in our file, and we can get the data of our example.json file or any test data file in that before function, and then we can use it in any of the test functions in that file. So here I can create a before function. I will say before, and I will just start a function here like this. Make sure that you remove all these auto-generated commands. And here I can say, I can use the same cy.fixture, and I will say cy.fixture, and I will get the example.json file. Now here I can use a alias. I can say dot as, and I can use any variable name. Here I am saying test data, test underscore data. You can use any name here. So basically we have got the data of this file, And then we have used this alias. So all the content will go here. And using this alias or this variable, we can access the content of the file. So if I go to any of the test case, in any of our test, I can say cy.log, and I can use this variable named test data, test underscore data, and I can get the name or whatever values I want. Let me try to save and run this. And some reference error. Let me check here. Okay, so see, we have to use this keyword because this will be considered as a file or a class variable. So let me do that. I will say here this dot test data, and then I will access the data. So I will save and run again and check. And yes, this time it is printing, it is getting the value and printing it here. So we can use this as well. We can create a before function, and then in any of the test cases, in any of the tests of that particular file, we can directly use this name, this alias test data, and can access the values of that file. So this was reading the files using fixtures. And as I told you that if your file is in the fixture folder, it can be referenced directly without any extension. So even if I say here, instead of saying example.json, if I just say example, that will also work. So if I say this, and if I run the test again, you can see it is still working. So if the file is in the fixture folder, it can be referenced directly without the extension. And if you have a JSON file, we can use the its function or its function to access the values using the keys. In our case as well, it is a JSON file. So in case of a JSON file, we can use the its function. So we can say cy.fixture and the file name, and then say .its and give the key, and then we can do any verifications or anything we want to do. So this will work for a JSON file. Now we can also use the ReadFile function for reading a file. And here, let me create a new function in the same spec. If you want, you can create a new spec as well, but I'm just going to create a new function or new test in the same spec. So I will say it, and I will say here the name is ReadFile using ReadFile function, or just say ReadFile using ReadFile, and this is a function. And I will complete this function call. And here in this test, I will say, I will use the cy.readFile function. So I will say cy.readFile. You can see we should get the auto suggestion. If you don't get, you can press Control space on your keyboard. Let me check. We should be getting, this should go. Now I will say read file. I must be getting some auto suggestion here. Let me try again. If I try in this function, cy.readFile. So let me just write it and then check. So I will say here, cy.readFile. And here, now here within single quotes, you will have to give the relative location of your file, or you can also give a absolute location. It is always suggested that you keep your file within the project folder and give a relative location here, so that whenever you take your project to some other system or machine, it will not break. So here I have the file in my fixtures folder, which is within the project folder. But here, because we are not using the fixture command or the fixture function, we will have to give the relative location of this file. So I can do a right click here to on example.json and say copy relative path. And this I will paste within these quotes here. Now here, you can start with dot. Dot means it will go to the project root folder and then a forward slash and then the Cypress folder. You can escape the backslash by giving one more backslash. So double backslash will work, but this will work only on Windows. If you take this on a Linux or a Mac operating system, the double slashes can break. So it's better you give a single forward slash in the path. So this will work fine. So we have used cy.readFile and this is our file. And then we can again use the then function for chaining. I will say then, and I can use any variable, say data. And then I can say here cy.log, and I can say data.name, and I can get the other data as well here, like email. So let me just try this one and check. I will go to the Cypress runner and refresh and run. So if I see this, yes, it is running fine. Read file using read file test. This is getting the data. So this is running fine. And here also we can use its in case of JSON file, and we can directly get the values by using the keys. So this was about read file using read file function. So we can read files using fixtures or read file. Now to write a file, we can use the write file function. So we can create a new spec, or I can continue on the same spec. I'll just create a new test here. I will say it. And I'll say write file demo. I'll start it again. Write file demo and start a function. Now, whenever you do this, sometimes it takes some automatic commands here. So you have to remove these. So please check at the top of your file if it has by default taken some statements or import statements there. So here I will say cy.write file. Now, in case you are not getting these auto suggestions, you can add at the top // and then say reference_types equals Cypress. So this is how you can do it. We have used this in our earlier spec files. If you want, you can get it from there as well. So if I just check the spec file we had here, let me just take it from there. So here we have this one. Yeah, test one that we created initially. This is what you can use there. So this reference type equals Cypress will enable IntelliSense for the Cypress commands or the functions. So let me go back here and paste it here and save. Now let me try again. If I say here cy.write write files. Yes, now we are getting this. So that was the issue. You can get that. So I will say cy.writeFile. This is the function. And here I can give any file name, or I can give a file name along with its path. So if I just give the file name, let us say sample.txt, this will get created on the root project folder. So in this case, which is Cypress project 1. So inside this folder directly it will get created. If you want to change the location, then you can also give the location along with the file name. And then I will give the data I want to store. I will say, hello, I am Raghav. And that's it. I will save and run the test. So you can see ReadFile demo is all working fine. And if I now go and check on my project, you will see a sample.txt file is created here, and it is typing. It has written, hello, I'm Raghav here. Now, in case I add one more command to write in the same file, I say, hello, I'm Raghav, and I will say, I'm learning Cypress. So if I say this, and if I now run it again, let us see what happens. I have saved and I have executed again. If I now check my file sample.txt, you can see it has overridden the earlier statement, and now it is only having I am learning Cypress. So it overrode this particular statement. To avoid this, we can add a flag. So I can say comma here, and I can say I want to add a flag here, which is A+. So I will say flag colon A+. This is to append. And now if I run it again, it is all working fine. If I now check the file, so you can see I am getting both the statements, hello, I am Raghav, and I am learning Cypress. Now, in case you want this to go in the next line, I can use the \n. I can use it here at the end of the first statement. So what it will do is it will write this and then move the cursor to the next line. So whenever you write something more, it will always go in the next line. I will save and run this. And now if I check the file, so here it is writing, hello, I am Raghav, I am learning Cypress. So this is how we can write to a file using the WriteFile function. Okay, and here we can also use relative paths if you want to put your file, or if you want to use the file and write it, and the file should be at some particular location, you can do that. So similarly, like we had used a relative paths in ReadFile functions, you can do that with WriteFiles as well. And this is how you can use the relative paths relative to the project folder. So this is how you can use it. And with that, I will take a break. So I will stop this particular session here. You can do the quiz. Let me know your score in the comment section. And please do some hands-on. If you face any issues, you can let me know. I will try to answer you as soon as I can. I will see you in the next session. Thank you for watching, and never stop learning.